California, the night of July 15, 2019. Everything seemed to indicate a quiet night. Routine tests and drills, changes of watch, a bit of humor among so much monotony. Everyone in the military was going about their due activities, unhurriedly, with a patience that translated into enjoying a cool, quiet evening. Just another night of work. However, this same tranquility would dissipate from one moment to the next. This time, it would no longer be a quiet night, it would be a night of mystery, persecution, and unknowns. Suddenly, after alarms and emergency radio contacts, the guided missile destroyer USS Rafael Peralta was the first to detect the mysterious flying objects and deploy their SNOOPIE teams at 8:39 p.m. By 9 p.m., another destroyer in the fleet, the USS Kidd, had also spotted the strange flying objects that had intercepted and surrounded them. Once this time, they also deployed their SNOOPIE teams to keep an eye out for anything that might happen at this tense moment. And maybe you're wondering, what are the SNOOPIE teams? Well, they are the teams in charge of the photographic intelligence on board the destroyers, which carried out the documentation of each of the contacts with the unknown objects. The USS Kidd assessment on the radio included this important statement: multiple unmanned aerial vehicles around the ship. Mankind has always looked to the skies for meaning, but as our yearning for knowledge has reached farther into the depths of space, the search becomes for the answer to the question, are we alone? If you seek the truth, like, subscribe, click the bell icon. Join us. This is what the world needs. This is disclosure. What are these strange objects doing in our world? Why are they so inexplicably unique, mysterious, and incomprehensible? Each time sightings arise throughout our world, all the foundations of what we know are shattered. On each of these occasions, the information we hold in our hands seems useless, harmless, and innocent, as if we don't really know what exists in outer space. Objects that defy the physics we know and have been studying for years. What for us seems impossible, for them is like strolling quietly through a park. That we are intelligent and capable? Yes, we probably are, but not yet enough to understand each of the strange things that fly over our skies. Cone-shaped objects, triangle-shaped objects, spherical objects inside a square, objects that every day are becoming visible on the face of our Earth while flying at hypersonic speeds. Could it be that we are not able to understand it? Or in fact, we are not able to accept and assimilate that there are indeed beings that have been observing us deeply for decades? Whatever the case, evidence of these strange interstellar objects are being captured and studied. Before, they seemed curious and explored the Earth. Now, these objects seem to be very interested in the fleets and armaments of governments. Are they analyzing whether we are a threat? Or are they simply trying in some way to warn us of something? The sightings went from being intermittent to constantly hovering near each of the U.S. destroyer fleets, as if they were there watching their every move. An infrared image suddenly showed these strange objects circulating the USS Paul Hamilton on July 17, 2019. To everyone's surprise, it was a swarm of them that hovered near the ship for several hours, and this would not be the only occasion. The days to come would be filled with mysterious sightings and unexplained contacts. The destroyers went from being advanced war machines to machines that only observed objects they did not know. Undoubtedly, the days of July 2019 were filled with unparalleled tension. No one expects that in their routine days, UFOs begin to invade their airspace, traveling at inhuman speeds. Some say there were 6, others say there were 14 strange objects, but the truth is that the total number of UFOs detected by the Navy destroyer is unknown. Could the objects have interfered with their highly advanced radars? 3 days before these unexplained incidents, the USS John Finn also witnessed a series of flashing red lights that were on the starboard side of the ship, static, hovering immovably at heights of 1,000 and 1,500 feet. Events that, to this day, still remain unexplained. Events that extend from the dramatic night of July 14, 2019, when the USS Kidd shows in its records to have visualized multiple flying objects in its surroundings. A shipboard intelligence team responsible for documenting and investigating contact with unknown vessels, known as the Ship's Photographic or Nautical Operational Photographic and Interpretation, or SNOOPIE team, was hired to discover who or what the mysterious flying objects were. Within minutes of the sighting, reports show that the USS Kidd switched to silent mode, going unnoticed and minimizing communications while looking for the level of threat they were currently facing. In those moments, the warship didn't hesitate to make contact with one of the fleet members also on patrol, the USS Rafael Peralta, which also engaged its onboard photographic intelligence team, or SNOOPIE. And no, it wasn't just them who spotted the mysterious objects, as several other U.S. Navy-guided missile destroyers in the vicinity also noticed the strange lights in the skies. Tense moments. Drones? Enemy technology? Aliens? After so many questions and analysis, nothing made sense, as the sighting didn't appear to have been built by humans. A little over an hour after the events, at 11:23 p.m., the USS Rafael Peralta saw a white light hovering over the flight deck. The unidentified object approached step by step until it was able to hover above the destroyer's helicopter landing pad while traveling at speeds of 60 knots and in low visibility. The encounter surpasses any technology that can identify a drone, whether commercial or military. We are talking hours and hours of drastic movements that ranged from out-of-the-ordinary speeds to the capabilities of suddenly stopping and hovering above these warships. When it all seemed to be over, the next night the flying objects returned. This time, the ships were patrolling the waters near the Californian mainland. On this occasion, they were first sighted by the USS Rafael Peralta, and without hesitation, the ship's SNOOPIE team confronted the objects at 8:39 p.m. At 8:56 p.m., records show that the USS Kidd also came into contact with these enigmatic objects, and despite maneuvers to throw them off, the objects continue to pursue each of the destroyer ships. Nothing and no one seemed to know what it was about, much less who they were. All that remained was the hope that there was no attack that would put the lives of the crew members at risk. Then, at 9:20 p.m. that night, the USS Kidd again noticed multiple unmanned aerial vehicles around the ship. The nights of tension seemed endless, and these objects seemed to never rest at any time. The USS Rafael Peralta was also invaded by as many as 4 flying objects. At this time, they were even contacted by the Carnival Imagination cruise ship to report that they too were observing the strange flying objects. The agitation and amount of activity continued until close to midnight, with none of the ships and witnesses being able to define where the mysterious objects were coming from and what they were. Undoubtedly, the Navy's top commanders, including the Chief of Naval Operations or CNO and the Commander of the Pacific Fleet, were notified to open in-depth investigations to find out what the objects were. The FBI Los Angeles office was also contacted to closely investigate these tense incidents. Many of these investigations indicated that these were simply drones that were launched from a catamaran in the area called ORV Alguita. After each of these events, the Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Michael Gilday, said in April 2021 that the Navy was unable to identify what the strange objects were that were found chasing them so many nights. Since this time, the Department of Defense has refused to comment on anything regarding what happened to the sightings witnessed by the warships. And although the catamaran Alguita had drones on board, it was soon established that its aircraft were not capable of such aeronautical feats. After all, were they certainly objects from other worlds? But what would they be doing chasing these warships? As was to be expected for such unusual occurrences before military groups, a formal investigation was launched immediately. After so much effort and time invested, no explanation was found for what happened during those nights full of worry, tension, and doubts. It is of great importance to mention that the events with these UFOs have many similarities with other sightings that had happened in the past, such as in 2004, when 6 Super Hornet pilots made visual contact with a mysterious flying object. Could these be the same objects? Will they continue to be quietly watching over us? Will these mysterious objects be visitors who want to know who we are? After all, they already seem to know us better than we know them. Probably, perhaps, it's just a matter of time before the first verifiable contact. Stay tuned, like, and subscribe, and we'll be sure to cover the incident when it happens.